Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jesse Gunkel from the Storm Tracker Weather Team. Obviously, we are keeping an eye on the weekend. We've got a lot going on, especially with the championship game down in New Orleans, and it looks like the likelihood continues to increase for the possibility of widespread severe weather heading into early on Saturday. A lot of activities going on across Baton Rouge and even down in New Orleans in the coming days. So here's what we've got going on. A warm front right now. Tonight, we're going to be relatively quiet. That's what I want to point out. This threat is not for tonight. This is going to be for early Saturday morning. Warm front driving northward. Winds begin to pick up. Still should be a very mild and muggy night with a few light showers. The concern is going to be this cold front, which is currently starting to develop across portions of West Texas. It's going to gain a little bit of steam, and we just need to see exactly the path, because that is really going to determine on how severe we get, in fact, because we are going to fall underneath that warm sector. Tomorrow, well, it's going to be very spring-like out there. Daytime highs will be just shy of 80 degrees. We're going to see some wind gusts, maybe up to about 25 to 30 miles per hour out there. It's going to get very warm. It's going to get very humid outside. We're going to see some cloud cover out there, and that is just going to set us up for the possibility of having a very violent day in place for early on Saturday, because all the ingredients are there. We're starting to cook it a little bit over the last few hours, and that's going to continue throughout the day on Friday, and then everything starts to bake as soon as we head in early on Saturday. And it looks like we're actually going to fall into a pretty rainy pattern moving forward. We'll start out with some showers on Friday, mainly in the scattered category, but storms will move in early on Saturday. We may get a break late Saturday into Sunday, but it looks like soon as we head back into Monday and Tuesday, and maybe even most of next week, we could be dealing with off and on showers. So here's what we got going on. Tomorrow evening, a wind advisory, but we're already starting to see some wind gusts over 20 miles per hour. 21 in Hammond, 28 down in New Orleans, 13 in Thibodaux. Obviously, we've been seeing some stronger winds out of the east, sustained winds at about 10 to 15 miles per hour across the area. Going into tomorrow, starting out Friday morning at 6 a.m. and lasting until 6 a.m. Saturday morning, we fall under a slight risk for severe weather. That is technically a 2 out of 5. However, if you notice well off towards the northwest, there is an enhanced risk, and that's going to be mainly for central Louisiana and northwestern Louisiana tomorrow. They are even Shreveport area currently underneath a moderate risk for severe weather, and that puts it at a 4 out of 5. So again, that's pretty alarming, because that does mean that they're going to be seeing some pretty nasty weather heading into tomorrow. For us, the concern is going to be after midnight tomorrow, going into the morning hours of Saturday. And once we get past 6 a.m. on Saturday, you see that the entire viewing area falls underneath an enhanced risk. That goes until Sunday morning. However, I think our severe weather threat is going to kind of end around noontime on Saturday. So that is a 3 out of 5. It's going to start out with a few isolated thunderstorms after midnight tomorrow. Early in the morning before 6 a.m., a couple of those thunderstorms could be supercells producing some rotating winds. And yes, we could see a few isolated tornadoes developing out of those cells. Then that main squall line drives through. It's going to be a linear feature, and that is the concern for those straight line winds, possibly in excess of 75 miles per hour. Those are damaging winds. We could be seeing a bunch of power outages across the area with that threat for heavy rainfall in some pockets. And yes, even the chance for some very large hail. We're talking 2 inches or greater in diameter. And again, everything, all modes of severe weather are possible with this type of system. And here's the other kicker out there. This doesn't happen often for southeastern Louisiana, but we fall underneath a hatched area. When the SPC, the Storm Prediction Center, puts us under a hatched area, there is a 10% chance that we could be seeing tornadoes greater than EF2. So again, those are long track tornadoes. Those are very strong tornadoes, and that can do a lot of damage in many areas. Also, we're looking at winds, gusts greater than 75 miles per hour, and hail obviously greater than 2 inches in diameter. And that can also do a lot of damage. So what I'm getting at here is make sure you have a game plan and you're ready to put it into action early Saturday morning. Luckily for us, and you see here on the timing, these storms are going to arrive during the daylight hours versus overnight when it's dark outside. Just make sure your cell phone is charged and ready to go just in case of an emergency. As you see here, Futurecast, 6 a.m. We've got a few showers out there tonight. Clouds build, very breezy out there, very warm. We're starting out tomorrow morning in the 60s, jumping into the upper 70s by the afternoon with a few scattered showers. But that main line drives through. Right now, the current timetable is somewhere between 7 a.m. and most likely 10. Then those storms should race to the east of us, drive down towards New Orleans, probably around noontime, and then kick east of that. But as you see here, again, a lot of those storms will kick out of here by lunch for us, and then we'll start to see a little bit of clearing heading into those afternoon hours. Looks pretty good going into Sunday at this point, with some cooler temperatures all on the backside of that next front. As you see, things begin to settle down by the time we get to Saturday evening. With this, well, there is a potential for some heavy rain. Most areas north of the I-10, I-12 corridor are going to sit somewhere in that 1 to 2 inch range. Some higher amounts a little bit further northwest. Obviously, I think the concern for flash flooding, it's there, but it's not the greatest threat at this point. I think the concern is going to be more so a little bit of ponding on some of our roadways, some localized areas. Those areas that are typically prone to flooding, that's where we're going to see the best bet for some rainfall out there, or the biggest concerns while you're driving at this point. So I think the key here is we've got a pretty wet pattern ahead of us, and obviously the chance for a pretty active day early Saturday morning, and that's why I want to just give you a little bit of lead time. We're going to continue to keep you obviously updated as we move closer to the situation going into early Saturday. Make sure you also download our free app, because that's where you're going to get the latest information as these storms arrive. You can always take the information on the go. It's easy. Keep it on your phone and keep it handy at all times. We're also going to keep you up to date through our evening newscast, so make sure you tune in. Thanks for joining us.